property. The sadness becomes heavy later on, and you suffer from a lot of other issues connected to it. Most of the time, you will find that a person can get over sadness when he goes to a better situation. Maybe he disassociates with that object which is causing him that problem, or otherwise he takes up some other activity which makes him busy in that world. Now, in the spiritual realm, I think we need to address it from a different perspective. Sadness is experienced when, due to loss of some person who is dear to the one who is experiencing it. Sadness can happen if you lose something, some object which is of importance to you in your life. Today, the whole of India or the whole of world is going through the very, very sad state. All because of the disease that is catching up everywhere. There are so many people who have lost their jobs, their daily earnings which they used to have. Some people are trying to go back to their places where they came from, unable to reach their destinations. There is so much of closure everywhere. The institutions have shut down. All these taken into account. Also, most important is you, the listener, or the one who reads about this, becomes still more sad in life. Because when you go through other people's problems, you may not understand it fully, but yet the sadness comes on. The heartbreaks that happen in our life. I think you absolutely don't require any specific reason to become sad. Sometimes just melancholia, you just feel, oh, what am I doing here? And in the beginning of my satsang, it is all very slow. Isn't it like a sadness? And later on, all that bombardment starts. A little bit jokes here and there. But then, it is exactly this way. Now, the sadness which is very much effective on a human being makes the person twinge, makes that heart literally crumple, In spiritual, we need to address these issues. What is the problem and why are we sad? When you look at this issue, you will understand that there is always a cause, and that is the effect. The cause and the effect are very, very important in spiritual. We always talk about cause and effect. So there has to be a cause. The cause is because of two folds. First is because of the passion, and second one is because of attachment. Any kind of passion that you have and the loss of it. Let us say you are an athlete and you undergo a terrible injury, maybe a foot injury, maybe some kind of an issue that doesn't allow you to participate. You are going to go in depression very soon because it is something which you actually went and practiced for it, and there at the last minute something happens. A loss, even in the sports field, can cause this kind of a sadness to come over you, gloom. It descends on you. So identify it. What is this issue? So it is the extreme passion that a person has, And the second one is the attachment to the objects. We always go towards this direction. Remember, desire, which we have seen, is the root cause of so many issues. Buddhism, the genesis of all this, comes from the root word desire itself. Isn't it? If you look at any of the scriptures from Buddhist world, you will find that when Buddha had to identify something, he knew the word desire is the main issue. Anything that you desire and the loss of that can be very detrimental to a person. Likewise, sadness is connected to these two words. Now that you have identified the source, like I said, what is the source? The source is the passion that a person has, and now there is a problem in that passion, and the attachment that he has had. If you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and if you break up, naturally there is going to be a lot of sadness. This sadness is connected to that loss which you had. Right? The attachment towards this person, the significant other, SO as we call it, is a tremendous problem to cope up with. Why would any individual go to such a length and say to this other person, the SO, I love you, I want to be with you, and then you have a big loss in your life? The person leaving you and going away. So there is a heartbreak also, isn't it? And because of the heartbreak, your heart is feeling heavy. That is what the question was all about. So once you have identified the issue was connected to the attachment and the passion that you experienced during that particular phase. And then the loss of both this. When, because of attachment, you lose that person, okay? You lose a person and you have attached to him or her, you will descend into sadness immediately. Spiritual tells us that we have to become dispassionate in nature. And the second one is detachment. When you have attachment for any person, object, thing, whatever, you are going to get into trouble very, very soon. If you have a dog, pet dog, and the loss of that pet dog also can be a problem in your life. People go into a terrible state once their loss is there. So why are you attached to these objects? Your parents, relatives, friends, you name it, or your institutions where you are studying, or whether you are working somewhere. Now you may be working in a company for 20 years. It's a long time for a person to be working in that organization, and suddenly you are given the pink slip. Get out. Why? Because we have to reduce so many people because of coronavirus. I mean, just imagine this statement. And you will say, what happened to those 20 years? You see, I loved my job. You are attached to your job. You are so passionate in trying to reach your objectives that you forgot that you have to become dispassionate in nature. In our world, we have to become dispassionate. In the spiritual domain, if you really are interested in becoming really advanced in spiritual knowledge, the first word that you need to have right in front of your nose is dispassion. When you are dispassionate, when you are detached, that is the second word, nothing is going to affect you at all. Anybody can come, anybody can go. Anybody can do whatever they feel like. Some people hurt you when they say things. Why would you be interested in all these things? It is because of attachment to that object that you are saying those, that you have the problem. So why are you attached? Spiritually, the answer is very simple. Become dispassionate in life, become detached, and get attached and get passionate about the Lord. When you become passionate about God Himself, or when you have absolute attachment to God, then you will get the third D in place, which is called discrimination. Discrimination means to actually separate the real from the understand that everything in this world is unreal. Literally everything that is happening around you is unreal. Some of you have gone through very serious crisis in your life also. How many of you remember those things? A loss of a parent, wars in your country, different kinds of diseases around, loss of money, power, position, fame, you name it. All these things every individual has actually experienced sometime or the other in life. You think that you are known to people, and someday you will come across a person and the person will ask you, who are you? All this preys very heavily on the mind of a person. And that is the reason why these words are important. Dispassion, detachment, and discrimination. See the third D. That means see God in everybody, in everything. Inside you first. Then there will be no issue at all. Okay? Alright, so now we are doing the second question. How many of you are aware of pranic healing and Reiki and all these subjects? I think most of us are exposed to those subjects, right? You have heard that somebody is a Reiki healer, somebody is a pranic healer, somebody does healing by means of stones, different kinds of stones they will give you. They'll say you wear this or you do this and then you will get healed. Many a times you have heard, go for aromatherapy, go for yoga. All these kind of things are also there in this world. And people say that you feel lighter and you feel that you are cured. Let me assure you one thing. All those people who talk in terms of, in this ethical world of theirs, they think, what is this humbug thing that people are following? What is this Reiki? What is this homeopathy? What is this therapy which is being done? All that is nonsense. This is what everybody says. Spiritual healing is nothing to do with spirituality. First sentence. It has everything to do with your three bodies. Alright? The three bodies are your physical one. This is the one which is there. The second one is the mental and the intellectual one, which is what we call as subtle body. And the last one is the causal body. Any kind of a problem that happens in the material world is connected with the physical one first, and then the second one is mental, which is the second one, subtle body. And all this healing that everybody talks about is connected only to these three bodies. It is nothing to do with spiritual at all. What spiritual are you talking about? You think these spiritual things are there that, oh, I'm healing the soul. First and foremost, the soul is not even interacting. All right? There is no interaction with the soul anywhere. You know, soul is nothing but a piece of that super soul, as we call Paramatma. Huh? When the Paramatma is concerned, you think you can hurt Paramatma? You think you can, have some kind of a disease associated with it? No way, no way, no way. So if you get into all these things, it is going to heal your other bodies. All right? The gross body is going to get healed, of course. Common sense will tell you, go to a doctor. All right? At least the doctor will give you some injection or this or that. Today's day and age, coronavirus and all that is affecting what? Your physical body, isn't it? And if you have a mental issue, go to a shrink. That is the second problem. By tying some kind of a magical thread around your hand or putting some kind of an amulet or doing this kind of a therapies, do you really believe anything is going to change in your spiritual? In your physical world, of course. It is a placebo effect. I don't know whether you know about placebo effect. Every company which is testing out drugs does placebo effect. Instead of the real medicine, they will give you false medicine. There is nothing in it actually. It is a sugar pill mostly. And the sugar pill is given to a person saying that this is the medicine. And the person thinks, oh my God, I'm eating the medicine. And he heals himself. Why? Because his mind thinks, I am eating some medicine. It's the same thing with all these other arts, okay? Right? Many a times, by doing some kind of a magical thing in your house, hanging some things over here, hanging some things over there, the wind vanes and this and that, and putting all kinds of magical stuff everywhere. There is no magic like that. And anyway, it has nothing to do with spiritual. Don't get conned into thinking that it is something to do with spiritual. Today, I was watching some kind of a crap, on the internet, where the person says, ooh, you have to do like this, and the kind of fingers and the eyes turning and this and that. What nonsense is it? You think that is spiritual? Don't get conned into any of this nonsense, okay? You want to do your spiritual healing? Get a guru. He knows the doorway to spirituality. He will take you from there, and whatever nonsense that you think you want to, please throw it outside. When people come to me for the first time, I'll tell you this much. They will come laden with different kinds of gizmos and kind of nonsensical stuff. They will have rings in this finger, all kinds of nonsensical rings and things like that. This is for that, that is for that. Oh my God. And you want to be in spirituality? Go wash your face. Okay? You think that that thing which you are wearing, or the amulet which you are carrying, or the magical card has anything to do with spirituality? I think it is all bunkum. Don't fall for it. Don't ever fall for it. Problem is connected to all these three bodies. And if you really want to dwell on that plane, you are welcome. Yeah, the ring is going to be reminding you, oh my God, I am not going to get into trouble. Keep a diary for yourself and find out how many troubles you are there. And then attribute it to the ring that you are wearing. Okay? You have a diamond ring or you have some kind of a ring in your finger. Sir, you are not spiritually sick, you are mentally sick. All the mental cases will put all these things up and they will say, oh, I am a spiritual being. Nothing spiritual in all these things. It is only allowing you to focus your own mind's power onto that object, and it is a placebo effect. Got it? If you go for these healing techniques and all those kind of things, those guys are making money out of you. A true guru is not even going to be bothered about your, these kind of things. He's not going to give you, oh, this is a magical stuff, you keep it. Why should a real guru want to do this kind of a thing? Do you think Ram or Krishna, who had the gurus, by the way, Ram had two gurus, all right, I think you know that, Vashishta Muni and Vishwamitra, and Vishwamitra, oh, I'm going to remove something from the air and give it to you. You think that is what Vishwamitra or Vashishta Muni did to them? Or say, oh, you wear this magical stuff, and nothing like that, okay? All that is a concoction, all that which you think. If you look at Sri Ram or Sri Krishna or Buddha for that matter or Jesus Christ, I don't think they ever had anything in their body. Okay? Jesus Christ was so absolutely nothing on his body. Alright? Just one piece of cloth. Buddha also lived like that. But weren't they spiritually the highest in this world? Common sense will tell you that all these great people, from Mirabai to Ramakrishna Paramahansa, to common sense, use that common sense. They never went into all these placebo effects. They never went behind any of these things, and they were the highest. Where did they use anything? Aromatherapy or doing all kinds of, oh, this is the way. People think that by doing some kind of a mudras and this and that, some changes are going to happen. Jesus Christ, I don't think ever did any mudra. Do you think he did anything? I wouldn't know. You think Mirabai did? No. These people were lost in devotion to the highest. And that's it. So, if somebody says, I want to get healed spiritually, don't get into these kind of nonsensical things, places. Alright? And it doesn't help you rise in spiritual. I can write and give you. Doesn't help you any which way in spiritual. On the contrary, tell your mind to control them itself. Control your mind. That's it. Then you will not get into these kind of acts. I know this sounds very harsh, but you got to address the truth by looking at the truth. Look at these truly spiritual beings and then assess them. Assess their pictures. Look at what they have done. And then you will find the truth staring right in your face. They never went after any rings. They never approached any healers. Nothing. It is not that during the time of Buddha, Jesus and all these people, there were no healers. They were healers. And they took advantage of that. They had healers with the kings and the queens and all those. Naturally, the king and the queen followed them. But they wanted to make some money. So they gave them placebos. And the king got cured, thinking, oh, this guy was responsible for curing me. Alright? In this world, there are good doctors, good hospitals, good medical equipment. First, use your brain and go there. Take their help first if you really need healing. But spiritual healing, go to the guru. He is the doctor. All right? Okay, so I have come to the end of this Q&A session. So we will do the last chapter connected to the misery of family life. So we are doing Das Bodh. This is the next Dashaka that we have started. We have been doing about 3 whole chapters connected to the misery of family life. Yesterday we did something about a person who goes abroad or who goes to a big city to earn his living, and he keeps on sending money home. Okay? When he keeps on sending money home, his wife and all are very much interested for the money, not the person. So when the person goes with a bag full of gifts home, his children and everybody come to him and say, "Oh dad, you have bought this thing, what have you bought for me?" And then they take all the gifts concerned. And what happens after that? They don't give a damn to this person. Likewise, the wife will also say the same thing. She will also take the gifts and she will wait for the opportunity for this idiot to go back. This happened 600 years ago. Alright? You think today also it is not happening? Today look at all those people in the Middle East, in Africa, in Americas, or in Gulf states or somewhere in Far East. People go to earn money at these kind of places. I forgot Australia and New Zealand also. Yes. Well, people go over there, try to make a living so that they can send some money home. When they come home, they want to enjoy that 1 month of theirs. And when they are going back, they are miserable to the core because nobody gave a damn to them. People are only interested in getting what they wanted. And once they are gone, the person has washed their hands off that person. This is life. This is what we did yesterday in the third part. That is, the second part of the misery of family life. Now we are doing the misery of life, family life 4. Third part that was. So chapter 5, Das Bodh, the misery of family life. Sri Ram. The man again went to other country and started some work. He worked hard. Such is the difficult family life that he toiled and moiled for money. In about 3 to 4 years, he had earned enough money. Then he came to his own country. Here he saw there was a great famine and the plight of people was pitiable. Today there may not be a famine. Today there may be a problem connected to somebody's disease or some viral thing or any other thing that might be going on. Yes, we always have undergone a lot of famine in our life, at least till 2000. Maybe even after that, 2008 was a terrible year for everybody. That was not a famine, that was connected to the financial markets crash. People lost jobs and all, yes. When he came home, he saw all were very miserable. One was with hollow cheeks, the other was so weak he could not open his eyes, yet another was trembling with weakness. Someone was huddled in the corner with lost hope. 1 or 2 were having swelling, some were already dead. He suddenly saw this condition of his sons and daughters. So this is a pitiable condition where a person comes back to disease or some kind of an issue going on in their world. So when this person returns, he comes across this miserable state. Many a times people have left their jobs, quit their jobs in most of these big countries to come back because somebody was dead. How can my mother stay alone? So I have to come back. And so they will make all the provisions to come back. Here I can tell you one small story which happened some time back. The son had gone abroad. His mother was always falling sick. So when he asked me this question, I said, your mother is actually not sick. Everything is connected to her mind. So he said, no, 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 I don't think so. And he made provisions to come back. He lost his job there. So when he came back, and it was a very, very big organization from where he lost his job, he just quit and he came back. So when he took his mother to the doctor said there is nothing wrong with this woman. So this was a terrible thing. Finally, it dawned on the person that the mother was doing it deliberately so that her son stays back in India. And this is a true story. So I told this person, I said, why are you here? There are other people to take care of her. You should go and make some money, go abroad, go do something. Finally, he tried, nothing happened. Then one day I told him, I said, you please apply for this lottery system, and he got the lottery. He got that H1B visa. So he went abroad. Again, his mother started the same thing which she was doing. Finally, it came to a point that again he had to come back and was here in India for quite some time. Nearly 1 year without a job, and yet taking care of this person. There was nothing wrong with the lady. I went to meet her also. And I told him straight point blank on his face, I said, there is nothing wrong with your mother. She only misses you. And now she has made it a life goal to keep you in India. And you are not going to make money over here at all because, well, India is not paying you so much. So finally it happened that he had to go back again. Now, during that time, when he was there, I think she passed away. And that was due to natural causes. Now the whole issue was such that people normally hold on because of attachments. And here, attachment is one of the most dangerous things in the world. People blackmail another person because of attachments. Especially husband-wives. The husband will say, I cannot leave this place and go, you have to stay here. Then the wife may have to take up a stupid job in that place, or maybe she will just stay at home. Or the wife may say, I am going to that place, I think you can stay over here, I will go and work over there. And this kind of an emotional blackmail keeps on happening. Family life is all about emotional blackmail, let me assure you this much. I think so far Das Bodh has given you a very clear picture how this is working. So this was a story which I gave you. And this is a true story. Today, fortunately, that man is working abroad. He's making a good amount of money. He was able to take the rest of the family, that his wife, his children abroad. And now they are settled very nicely. Yes, they have got the green card also. Yeah. So, hearing this, the family members suddenly become alert and ran to him saying, Daddy, Daddy, give me food. They held him tightly and started to find something to eat. They opened his bags and started eating whatever they found. But even before some could eat something, death came and the food remained in their hands. This is a story exactly like the one which we had done earlier, Narad. When Narad asks Narayan, I want to experience your Maya one day. And Narayan gives him a grand tour of Maya. While going to fetch a glass of water for Narayana, Narada goes, gets into a reverie and completely loses himself. There he meets a beautiful woman, gets married to her, has children, loses his wife, loses his three children that are there, and he's finally drowning in the waters. And then he hears the Lord crying, calling out to him and saying, Narada, I told you to get a glass of water. What happened? And Narada gets up from his, oh my God, what happened actually? So he gets a taste of Maya. Maya is illusion. Remember this. All this family life and all these kind of things is nothing but illusion. God himself is telling you that. Narayana himself tells you all this world is Maya. All this world is an illusion. Don't fall for it. So this was the story which I had done earlier when I was doing the Narad Bhakti Sutra. You can go and see those stories over there. Every day was a new story. So like that. You get conned by Maya. So here the Maya is working. And Das Bodh is also full of that only. He's telling how this Maya works. He hurriedly started to give them food, but some children died while eating and some died by overeating. In this way, most children were dead. One or two survived, but they were also destitute because they had no mother. So he had lost his wife also. By famine, his family life was destroyed, but next year there was plenty of food. So family life got destroyed and next year there was plenty of food, because you see, after the famine there comes heavy rains. And when heavy rains comes, yes, there is food all over the place, there is money also, everything happens. It's exactly like, being jobless for many years and suddenly you find a job. And when you find a job, wow, I got the money. And then something else happens. Let us see what happens. But there was no mother to cook food for them. Okay, so I'll repeat that earlier line. By famine, his family life was destroyed, but next year there was plenty of food. But there was no mother to cook food for them and he had to do all the kitchen work. People encouraged him to marry again and he did so, but spent whatever money he had for the wedding. Okay, so you earn a lot of money and then what happens to the money? It goes out spending for the wedding. So you need a grand wedding. I'm sure you have heard about this kind of grand weddings. They want so many nights, this, like all the Shah Rukh Khan dancing, this fellow dancing, Mehndi nights and God knows all that crap. I still remember one guy getting married and what a great celebration it was. I never attend such kind of weddings, by the way. I personally don't like this kind of an activity where you are going to get divorced in less than 2 years' time. What is the point in getting married this way? Spending lakhs of rupees. So this idiot got married. Spending, his mother, father spent lakhs of rupees on doing a grand wedding, getting a massive card printed and all that. Okay. And you could see their Facebook page. I love you, I love you, I love you. What? I love you, I love you. Hearts and this and that. And suddenly, a few years later, I saw the girl is not even posting a single, message about this man. This man is going gaga over her. So I went to her page to see not a single picture of this man. Finally, there was a breakup. That girl took 28 lakhs to get out of the marriage. What a beautiful story. So what was the point in spending for that wedding? And taken to the cleaners? Doesn't it remind you of another great person? The person who runs Amazon? $75 billion he paid out so that he can get out of the marriage. So people, like idiots, spend a lot of money trying to celebrate. They spend the last penny also. The person himself earns and thinks that I need to have a grand wedding, and the grand wedding makes him into an idiot, the biggest idiot, when they put that all the topi and stuff like that. Understand, the guy is a nutcase. Very soon they are going into the gutters. So people encouraged him to marry again and he did so. He spent whatever money he had for the wedding. Remember, Das Bodh. This is not me talking, okay? And I am not trashing anybody. This is Samartha Ramdas, the guru of Shivaji Maharaj. And he is Shiva himself, by the way. Now imagine he is talking this language so many years ago. You think he is talking something nonsense? He went out of the country and came back with some amount, but now he saw that there was a quarrel going on between his stepchildren. The wife had become a youthful woman and the son could not accept her as the mother. The husband was weak and old. The sons were always quarreling, nobody listened to anybody, and for him, his wife was the whole world. I'm sure you have heard of these stories. Reminds me of people like George Clooney's of this world. There were distrust in their minds and no hope for all to live jointly, so he called all his 5 sons together. All the belongings were divided into 5 parts so that the sons did not agree and there was an open argument. Everybody wants a piece of action. Whether it is your own son or your own daughter, they are anyway going to demand for the piece of action. I want this. How you can give more to that person? How you can give less to me? It happens. People who think, just now they may be thinking, oh, I have got such a lovely family, I got some 2 daughters, 3 sons and this and that. Oh, is it? Wait. Just you wait, Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins will give you. Now, you see, this is a common story all across because all of us have come from the same mold. The mold which is there, God has created this mold and all of us are in the same mold. Everybody is going to be hungry for money. Nobody is hungry for love. So, the father and the son started fighting and the sons beat him. The wife shouted again and again. By listening to all this, people gathered and stood looking at the whole episode. They said to themselves, really, the sons have proved to be very helpful to their father. I mean, the world would love to see this kind of a mishap going on in everybody's family. Because it's a spectacle, no? So you love to see beautiful 70mm stereophonic sound, or nowadays you can call it by some other sound, and of course all the beautiful background music and all going on. Of course, everybody loves it. Tamasha, we call it. Everybody loves a tamasha. So everybody gathers around. They go around like this. See, the children for whom this man took so many vows and took all the trouble to bring them up are now beating him. That was the state of affairs. Old sins being repaid. All were expressing their wonder, but they mediated as citizens. Naturally, there are some people who will say, don't fight. It happens. They made all the sons sit together in the presence of Panchayat and by dividing the belongings made an agreement which was imposed upon all. They separated the father and a hut was built for him. There his wife started doing household work. Now, people may think that this never happens to me. It never happened in my world. I don't think these kind of stories do happen. Who told you that? If you have ever gone for a panchayat meeting anytime, now there are villages across India. Go for a panchayat meeting. The sarpanch over there is sitting with his other 5 guys. Yeah, what is the problem? This fellow is trying to take away the property. He's taking that little patch of land and putting his, cows over there for grazing and this and that. Oh my God. And these issues which I am discussing just now are very common, absolutely common. You can go and ask any sarpanch in any village. In the cities, people would like to cut the throat. They'll say, "Thok dena usko." The way it is said. People give supari. I don't know whether you know about supari, but those who know about supari will understand. Uske liye supari nikalte hai, chalo. I mean, this kind of thing happens just for the sake of little piece of land or some little property. And even emotion, the problems are connected to that also. No doubt the wife was young and the husband was old, but since they were married, had to live together, they stopped being sorry for bygones and made good of their present condition. The man thought himself to be very lucky in the old age because he had a good natured and a beautiful wife. So he forgot the earlier misery and thought himself to be happy. But suddenly there was an attack by the enemy in that country, great havoc, the wife was kidnapped and all his belongings were looted. Never happens in my country. Mhm. Go to the Middle East, go to African nations, ask people in Vietnam War, ask people in these wars which are going on throughout the year, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, you name it. What happens over there? Just because the war hasn't touched your country right now, you're not safe actually. So this is a part and parcel of life, and it happens. Great havoc. The wife was kidnapped and all his belongings were looted. There was no limit to his sorrow. Alone he wept and cried loudly, pathetically remembering his beautiful wife. Then the dreaded news came. People told him your wife was abused. He suddenly threw himself to the ground. He turned from his side to that out of total hopelessness. His eyes were full of tears and again his heart was burning with the fire of sorrow. He said to himself, I have earned much money which was spent for wedding and the villains have kidnapped my wife. And also son, I am an old, sorry, I am also old. My sons have left me. Oh God, what a bad luck. They blame their luck, by the way. I have no money, no wife, no shelter, no strength. I have nobody except you, oh God. Now the sentence comes, oh God, you are the only person left. Everybody else is gone. It's only when misery strikes a person that time they think of God. Otherwise, man has no time to think of God. I see all these great people on this Instagram and YouTube and all these places, naturally I see them. They get ready for the meeting, they dress up nicely and I am going to do this kind of a show. What show? I just got up from my bed. You have taken pains to look like that, okay? Today's world is full of these fake things. And you got to know them. Okay? So, and everybody is in it for money, by the way. So, thus he has not worshipped God in his young days. He was attracted to money, but in the end he had to repent in his old age. When old age strikes, do you have old people in your house? You know what is the greatest topic of conversation in their life? Ask them. You know what is the greatest conversation in their life? I am so sick, I've got pain over here. My heart is weak. I have palpitations. I have this. I have that. Do you know how many medicines I have to take? Look at this yellow color, blue color, pink color, this kind of tablets which the doctor has prescribed. And they will give you a detailed analysis like a commentary that you hear in a cricket match. They will give you a detailed analysis what happened, how they ended up going to the doctor, what the doctor told them, and you are supposed to feel pity for these people. Old people love to talk this language only. Many a times I look at these people and I say, why don't you take the name of God? What is this? You're telling me about stories about your misery. You're telling me stories about all the illnesses that you have. And they have a pack of, so many big packs of medicines. This is for this is for this is vitamin, this is that. Oh my goodness gracious. So old people love to make a big show of themselves, telling the world how miserable they are. And we fall for it. I'm also an old man, of course. Yeah, next time you come, I will show you how this acting is done. Okay, all right, let's continue. He had not worshipped God in his young days. He was attracted to money, but in the end, he had to repent in his old age. His body became very thin and dry. There was biliousness and cough in his throat. Like that. Okay. The tongue lost the power of speech. There were peculiar sounds in their throat because of cough. There were bad smell in their mouth. And he had a nose running with mucus. With all this put together, let me assure you one thing. They may be having a running nose, they may have a bad throat, they may have whatever that is there. But if the same idiots have to shout at you, they will shout on top of their voice. And then you will come to know nothing is wrong with them. See, they just require a little bit of sympathy. Okay? And in my spiritual world, I don't give a damn about that. Because instead of wanting sympathy, why not take the name of God? A spiritual person is always going to say these words. You have lost your entire life. Why are you not still thinking of God? The neck trembled, the eyes were shedding tears profusely, and all the pitiable conditions of old age was in his lot. His teeth were gone. Nowadays, to spend for the teeth, you see the old men, nice teeth and all that. Why? They spend pots of money making nice teeth. The mouth looked like a cave, and a dirty saliva oozed from his open mouth. Eyes could not see, ears could not hear, he could not talk clearly because of asthma. The power in the feet was gone, he could not sit properly, and the wind was being passed noisily from his anus. Yes, they love to fart loudly. This is a very common occurrence, by the way, and you don't have to feel bad about it. You will find even women and men, after they cross 50, they are not ashamed of passing gas also. So they will fart very loudly and they will say, what am I to do? I am an old person, Oh, is it? I can understand that blast, but I can't take the smell. Sorry. That was a stupid joke. He could not bear the hunger, but food was not available on time. Even if there was food, he could not bite it properly because he was toothless. Due to biliousness, there was no good digestion. There was either a vomit or a diarrhea. When he was quite prostrated, he was lying in his own excreta, urine and vomit, and people, while passing the door of his hut, could not even breathe. In old age, he had many diseases. Every limb was painful. His thinking power was gone, but life was not over yet. God loves to put these people in so much of trouble, I can tell you. I mean, that's what they think. I'm not saying God really does this. But you see, they say these words, God loves to give me so much of trouble, I should have gone. My own mother used to say, from the age of 60 onwards, I have heard her say, I'm just eating this last meal of my life. And then every year I would keep on saying the same words. I said, you will outlive me, I think. No, I'm going to die. This is the last thing I'm going to eat. What last thing? Every second day it was the same story. And from that age till the age of 84, I think, it went on every day of the life saying, this is my last meal, this is my last thing, I'm just enjoying this last mango of the season. When you become old, you may have to give up on all these things. Those who are old, please note, forget the doctor, I am telling you. You have become like a child. Eat only that which can be mashed nicely and given to you. Okay? Maybe some curd rice or maybe some dal, something like that. Very simple food. In old age, he had many diseases. Every limb was painful, his thinking power was gone, his life was not over yet. The eyebrows were white, the hair on the head had gone, and flesh having been wasted, the skin was hanging like a rag. I am showing my hair also to you. So the body was not in control, he had no friends and nobody saying, why does he not die? This is a very common thing, People will say, "Jaldi marta kyun nahi hai?" This is very common. Why doesn't he die so soon? Those who are given birth and brought up because his enemies, and in old age the whole life became distorted. Gone were the youth, gone were the strength, gone were the desires, and the body and the belongings, all was devastated. I was selfish during all my life, but everything was gone waste. How twisted is my condition at the end, he said to himself. So he had ardently hankered after happiness, and in the end, he got only the pain and tragedy. And now there was a great fear of hell looming large before his eyes. There is no heaven for this kind of people, let me assure you. Actually, today morning I was reading a book, a very beautiful book, in which the person comes up with stories after stories after stories. This book was written more than 5,000 years ago, okay? And you will ask me, 5,000 years ago, how can the book be written? Well, the Egyptians knew about it and the other people also knew about it. But their writing was different, okay? So let me come back to it. In that, the person keeps on talking about this, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. My whole life is gone, everything I have done, and now, I'm thinking, what was this life all about? I should have thought in the beginning, that I have to make a name for myself. Ask everybody who is dead in your family, or the people who are dying on their deathbed, ask them this question. What legacy have you left behind in this world? It's a slap on their face also. Nobody leaves a legacy behind. People come and they go. And this person who had written this book, he says, you are just like bubbles in the ocean. Or you are like that dust, that dust devil, you see, the dust devil which comes, it goes like this and vanishes. You are just like the dust devil, nobody knows where it went. You are like that dust storm which comes, little dust particles go up in the air and they fall somewhere else. Does anybody know that has happened? Nobody knows. That is the thing. So he has ardently hankered after happiness, and in the end he got only pain and tragedy, and now there was a great fear of hell looming large before his eyes. Ramdas says, birth is the root of sorrow. It is continuous bite of scorpions of pain. Therefore man must look after his own emancipation. Emancipation, not emanciation. Emancipation means liberation. Emanciation means becoming very thin. Emancipation, getting out of this world, never ever to come back again. So such is the old age with all the grief in the lot of everybody, and therefore one should surrender himself to God. Originally, while in the womb of the mother, the man was suffering and was praying to God to free him. The same repentance again visits him in the end of his life. Then again there is rebirth. Again there is a stay in the womb of a mother, and this ocean of life of this world which cannot be crossed starts again. Without devotion to God, the birth in this world cannot be avoided. The only path out of this world to become liberated, to get out of this birth and death recycle, you get recycled, rebirths, is to have devotion to God. In the further chapters, the 3 types of calamities and troubles which a man has to suffer will be told. Thus, in the 3rd Dashaka of Das Bodh, in the dialogue between the Guru and the disciple, this 5th chapter by name, The Misery of Family Life, part 4, is completed here. So we have come to the end of part 4 of this misery of his life. So thank you very much.